As one geopolitical door closes, it looks like another one is opening up.
Так зачем ехать на край земли, когда
Yep, as we had some very interesting comments from Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump that just got off of a 2-hour phone call with some big implications that I think are absolutely worth talking about, as there's also a lot of other tumultuous news happening with one of our Middle Eastern allies that looks like they are daring Donald Trump and not going along with what Donald Trump is trying to achieve here. What's going on? What's going to happen? What's also happening with gold at the same time? We're going to be looking at that and a lot more all in this video. So subscribe, click the notification button, as of course we got explosive news according to the Washington Post just a few moments ago that Donald Trump reportedly told Bibi Netanyahu that, quote, "We will abandon you if the Gaza war continues." Now, there's a lot of things to interpret from this, but looking at the article here, it is pretty clear that the United States president has been increasing pressure on Israel over the recent days to get them to stop with their military actions that are expanding and growing inside of the Middle East. There was a kind of clash moment when Israel wanted the United States to go bomb Iran for them and then defend them afterwards. Donald Trump said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to decide what we are going to do ourselves. Negotiations are still continuing between Iran and the United States, as the United States also just conducted a ceasefire with the Houthis in the region and made a lot of very interesting economic financial deals with a lot of Middle Eastern partners, as it's pretty clear here that there is definitely a separation happening. Now, is it a deliberate kind of separation here? Some of the people that I talk to about this are saying, no, this is only now just being done publicly in order to, of course, wheel and deal and get other things done secretly behind people's backs here. But it definitely does seem like there are two different versions of events, two different stories here. As of course, the story from the Washington Post is based off an anonymous source. Believe those as you want to believe. I always say, if it's an anonymous source, believe it with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean it's always true here. But there has been a very kind of different public messaging happening here that is pretty evident here, as Trump has made it clear. We want this conflict in Gaza to end here. Donald Trump was congratulated. Everyone was applauding him, saying, hey, he made Bibi actually agree to a ceasefire. Then, of course, the ceasefire broke down. Now, when that ceasefire broke down, that's when the Houthis got involved. The United States got involved with the Houthis. And now the situation looks like Donald Trump just wants it to wind down. He wants economic deals. He wants peace deals. He wants to be a peace president. And it looks like he's doing his best in order to achieve that. Meanwhile, on the other hand, we are also hearing, in light of this news, that Israel is just beginning their most extensive Gaza ground operation so far this year, after they had intense airstrikes that, of course, were going on during Trump's speech in Saudi Arabia. I thought that was a very interesting timing of all of this kind of unfolding during this particular time here, as it's fair to say Benjamin Netanyahu now coming out and saying, yeah, we're going to plan to take over all of Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu calling up the reservists. Benjamin Netanyahu saying, we are going to deliver aid there, but we're going to have a permanent kind of base there now, has ruffled some feathers, has pissed some people off here. And what will Donald Trump, what will the United States do? As, of course, there's a lot of public ramblings. You could only imagine what's happening domestically between the two here. And it definitely does look like more and more from all the sources we're getting from Israel, all the sources we're getting from the United States, that there is a kind of separation moment that is publicly being talked about. Now, just because it's being publicly talked about doesn't mean that there's other things happening with the back channels here that I think are also important to talk about here. Now, how will all of this unfold here? What will Israel do? Will they actually listen to Donald Trump here and his public calls, or will they defy him? It looks like right now that they will be defying him, as of course negotiations with Iran, let's be honest, aren't going the best here as well, here as the Iranian foreign minister just vowed that nuclear enrichment will continue with or without a deal with the United States here. China is buying up a whole bunch of Iranian oil and energy, which is not really bringing them to the negotiation table, as the United States is saying, we'll open you up to the global markets, and Iran is saying, why? We got China. All of this news is, of course, creating a lot of geopolitical foreign policy instability and leading to a situation that, of course, internationally has been one that's been very difficult to ascertain and to kind of get a hold of, as the situation also with Ukraine hasn't been looking too good. As the latest that we have from this theater of conflict is that Donald Trump just had a 2-hour-long phone call with Vladimir Putin about the war in Ukraine, a war that Donald Trump has been promising that he will be doing his best to bring an end to. But we got some interesting tidbits from Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin that made public statements about their phone call here, as a lot of people are saying that we are in an impasse for this war ending, as a lot of people predict it to, of course, expand. Now, with that, of course, creates a lot of economic instability, as Donald Trump wants peace because he also wants to make deals financially. This has created a lot of instability in the financial markets, and that's why in this particular video, I wanted to do a deep dive on gold, as a lot of people are calling this, quote, a breakout moment for gold in the charts here, as the bull markets in the 1970s equaled to 200 all-time high for gold. The 2000 bull markets just over 100 all-time highs. The present bull market has seen over 74 new all-time highs so far, while gold's spot price has seen a collective 180 new all-time highs in the past 25 years and has more than 10x'd for a century-to-date appreciation of 1,233% from February 2001 low of $225 to its price. The same cannot be said about the companies that explore for gold, their development projects, and operational mines. The gold mining industry has faced a critical crisis for over the past 15 years. From 2010 to 2025, exploration budgets have stagnated or declined. Discoveries have plummeted, with no major discoveries since 2016. Global gold production has stagnated, with projections of a 17% supply drop by 2030. Existing mines are depleting faster than reserves are replenished. The underinvestment in the new deposits is such a huge, momentous driver for a likely supply crunch. Mines are depleting. That's why I am bullish on gold and have been for a long time, especially if you've been watching this channel. After a decade of little to no activity in the gold M&A space, the sector is waking up. This is the best time, in my opinion, to be looking at companies that own large deposit of gold mines in primary jurisdictions. Everything that I just laid out brings me to today's sponsor of today's video, and that, of course, is XCap Ventures, ticker symbol U.S. GARLF, whose insiders are buying stocks in recent weeks, as I will show you. XCap Ventures, US GARLF, was incorporated to make investments to rapidly capitalize on the distressed conditions of the gold industry. The management assumes that their assets, which are comprised of 5.57 million ounces of gold equivalent resources in the measured and indicated category, and an additional 0.5 million ounces inferred, are valued around $6 an ounce, while peers are trading for 8 times as much, or 700% more, to be re-rated. Start researching XCap Ventures, GARLF. Their thesis is based on the case studies of previous instances in which similar situations have led to meaningful appreciation. XCap Ventures, GARLF, flagship Converse project in Nevada's Battle Mountains Trend, a premier gold jurisdiction producing 75% of U.S. gold, is a standout. The project's October 2024 mineral resource estimate reports 5.7 million ounces of measured and indicated gold and 0.42 million ounces of inferred, with a drill program launched in March 2025. Insiders purchased a total of 1.2 million in Q1 2025, signaling strong management confidence. For example, on May 1st, 2025, Mario Vetro, co-founder and director, purchased 20,000 shares on top of that. Tyson Batschbach, the second co-founder and a director, purchased 50,000. The day before that, on April 30th, Mario purchased 10,000. The day before that, 15,000 shares. On April 28th, he purchased 25,000 shares. On April 25th, he purchased 110,000 shares on the 24th. He purchased 60,000 shares at Canadian 15 cents, collectively a total of 240,000 shares just on the last week of April. The team assembled to run Apex Ventures, GARLF, has been involved in the discovery of over 20 million ounces of gold with previous endeavors. Here's the value proposition. Advanced gold deposits are trading anywhere from $40 to $60 per ounce. ACAPS Ventures, GARLF, is trading at $5 an ounce. The company is cashed up to $10 million. Peer trade at USD $49 an ounce on average, while Apex Ventures market caps translates to only $5 an ounce. Research ACAPS Ventures, US GARLF. The business model is simple. Drill the properties in order to create the conditions for an exit at valuation comparable to recent ones. And we want to, of course, thank them for working with us. And we appreciate them reaching out to us and being able to, of course, advertise here on this particular YouTube channel. As, of course, I think it's pretty clear here that there's a lot of global instability, especially when it comes to the financial sectors and the financial markets, which Donald Trump is trying to get a hold of with peace. Now, as of course we've been saying here, we are predominantly a big anti-war media organization that has been calling for diplomacy, that has been calling for people to, of course, put down the weapons, to be able to work out their differences, to be able to say, you know what, we could trade, we could actually make some money here, which is what Donald Trump is trying to do. And say what you may about him, some of the policies I disagree with, but when it comes to continuing to push this particular subject, when it comes to continuing to meet with people, to try to push people, to make deals here, Donald Trump has been putting out all the stops here, as he just announced this phone call, which hopefully brings us towards the end of this crazy, insane conflict that the world is involved in, that also is creating a lot of economic upheaval in the global markets. As Zelensky says, as he had a phone call with Donald Trump right after Donald Trump talked to Putin, that the United States should not distance itself from talks, as right now Russia has not agreed to any specific timelines. But the president of the United States has announced that peace negotiations will begin shortly, and the Vatican will be hosting these conversations with these talks. As we just saw J.D. Vance with the new pope, we saw him do a trip to Israel recently too, which is, geopolitically very significant and important here, since Donald Trump didn't visit the country during his Middle Eastern tour, which some people say was a deliberate action in order to, of course, court Middle Eastern countries to, of course, do better deals with them. But Trump is saying that there are big trade deals with Russia and Ukraine that will happen after this war, as, of course, he's promising economic prosperity here out of all of this. As he just announced on Truth Social, quote, "I just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can be only because they know details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversations were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later. Russia wants to do a large-scale trade with the United States when the catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. There's a tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary on trade. It's in the process of rebuilding its country. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron of France, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland. During a call with me immediately after the call with President Putin, the Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it will be very interested in hosting the negotiations. Let the process begin. Now, will the Vatican be able to do something that, of course, has been very difficult and hard to do here? I hope so. But having them kind of step in, having them kind of involved here does signal that this is definitely kind of a neutral party that hopefully will be able to decipher a lot of the noise, a lot of the propaganda, a lot of the hate and anger, and to say, you know what, now is the time to be peaceful and, of course, bountiful with each other. Now, Trump had some comments to say about this, which some people found a little bit of comedic. Here's what he just had to say.
Well, I want to thank everybody. We just spent 2.5 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and I think some progress has been made. It's a terrible situation going on over there. 5,000 young people every single week are being killed. So hopefully we did something. We also spoke to the heads of most of the European nations, and we're trying to get that whole thing wrapped up. What a shame that it ever started in the first place. So, but I want to thank Melania and for your leadership in this very important issue. It's an amazing issue. America is blessed to have such a dedicated and compassionate First Lady. I would tell you she is very dedicated. In fact,
this is the interesting part that he had to say about Putin that also mentioned his wife.
if you look at just what I heard, Putin just said they respect your wife a lot. I said, what about me? No, they like Melania better. That wasn't good. I don't know if that was good. I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
Yeah, I think he was mentioning her kind of Slavic ties here, and it is kind of funny to see this kind of momentous moment in Trump being like, I want praise here, and I think Trump deserves a little bit of praise here. Vladimir Putin came out and said both sides must do everything to contribute to peace here, as he released statements saying that the Russian position is clear. Our key objectives is to identify the root cause of this crisis and to, of course, prevent it from, of course, happening.
And I believe that it was quite good. And I think that both Russia and Ukraine must do everything to contribute to peace, and they must find the compromises that would suit all the parties involved. I would like to say that overall, Russia's position is clear. Our key objective is to identify the root causes of this crisis.
Yep, and we're seeing similar talking points from Trump here, talking about how many people are losing their lives here. You see Putin saying, hey, we want to make sure that this does not happen ever again. We want to make sure if there's a ceasefire, we want to make sure if there's a peace deal, it is a long-standing peace deal that doesn't blow up when a Democrat becomes the president of the United States in the foreseeable future here. As again, this kind of larger move here saying, you know what? Only the military-industrial complex is making all the money. Like, the United States has been bombing places, and then we're rebuilding them. I don't understand that. And the same goes for what's happening in the Middle East. I think blessed are the peacemakers, and we should be propelling diplomacy, economic finance, transactions, money, being able to make business, being able to spread capitalistic virtues rather than bombing the crap out of each other. I mean, there's still so much of the earth that hasn't been explored. There are still so many rich, abundant natural resources that are just readily available for us to grow and spread and increase humanity further. But we're spending the vast majority of it just sanctioning, attacking each other economically, denying each other resources, which I think is foolish here. And I think Trump's onto something, and his diplomacy through capitalism is something that I think will be looked back in history. And I think he's going to make a similar deal in the Middle East. And say what you may about that situation, say what you may about this situation. I wish for peace for the people of Gaza, the people of Israel, the people of Russia, the people of Ukraine. The fact that we have been kind of subjected to these kind of key, big, tumultuous moments. If Donald Trump is able to cement peace in the Middle East, in Ukraine, he will go down as one of the biggest, most legendary presidents of our time here. He's actively trying to do it. He's trying to leverage America being the number one hegemonic power, America and the U.S. petrodollar system as its way to move forward in a way where, because listen, this is probably what happened between the conversation between Putin and Trump. Yeah, listen, the Russians are not doing good financially. You guys want to make money or you guys want to lose money? You guys are losing a lot of money. You guys are losing a lot of lives. Your population's going down dramatically. So is the rest of the Western world, especially in Europe. It's pretty tragic, especially now on top of this war, which is absolutely just eliminating Slavic men. Slavic lives matter. But this large-scale trade with Russia, once this war is over, will open up energy resources, will open up and make energy probably a lot more cheaper and readily available in Europe, which will help out some of the poorest people in there. Vladimir Putin has said, hey, there's a potential that we could mine and get some natural resources released here. We could do a mineral deal between the United States and Russia here. And I think anything over just this full-on prospects of war is better. Now, again, it's going to be a tough situation. Russia is beefing up their bases near the Finnish border. We had comments from J.D. Vance saying that these conversations are a dead end. What do you think is going to happen here? Let me know down in the comment section below. Will Donald Trump be able to be successful in the Middle East? Will Netanyahu listen to him? Will Putin and Zelensky listen to him? Will they follow his lead? Will they have economic prosperity and peace? Let me know what you think are the prospects of this happening, but I think the least thing we could do right now is at least pray for it. Thank you so much to XCap Ventures, GARLF, for sponsoring this video. It's always great to work with a lot of great companies out there that are doing some really cool, exciting things. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.